Ayon sa DOH, nakababahala na raw kasi ang biglaang pagdami at pabata ng pabata pa ang nadaragdag sa mga kaso ng HIV.
So hi guys, welcome back again sa special episode ng Macy's Vlog. And for today's video is may makakasama tayo and we will be talking sa isa sa mga pressing issues that we are facing nowadays. So did you know that HIV/AIDS cases are rising again, especially among youths? And it's real and it's alarming. And one thing about it is HIV is preventable, and talking about it is one step.
Yeah.
And then ngayon, makakasama natin si
Mark.
Mark.
Talya sa gabi.
So Mark, happy Pride by the way.
Balik na awkward na natin. Sagdira na siya. Yes, happy Pride. It's our month. It's June.
Yeah.
It's important po na hisgutan nato kani siya nga issue. It's because although we don't want na ma-associate din siya sa LGBT or sa Pride Month, but it's a pressing issue that affects everyone. And I mean, based on reports po ng DOH, it's really alarming. Naabot na tag 500% ang pag-increase. So it's something na siguro timely for people to talk about, especially na grabe ba yung stigma towards not just, you know, the entire like issue itself of HIVs, particularly towards people who might be experiencing sa kanisya nga pangitabo or kanisya nga issue na.
Kung sa kayo mong kuhan, murag nganong ni-increase o at least 500% ang katungkuan. Kung sa mga possible reasons.
I mean, isa sa mga direct na reason na pwede malantaw kay not yung increase when it comes to infection. Pero for me, like the way how I see it, kay una siguro kay one of the factors is taas na ang atong testing rate. That means na daghan na ang nagapatest. So daghan ang na-record na mga cases of infection. But if you look at it the other side, the increase of testing does not necessarily mean, or the increase of kanang 500% na per-increase does not necessarily mean na kanara ang kanang cases na possible na naa sa Philippines or sa atong regions. Okay, possibly there are people who are untested, and a large population o dako sa atong population ang kanang wala pa na test. So siguro that 500% is only saying na there is an increase sa testing rate, so therefore we discovered more cases. But I think the larger issue is towards katong gray area pa, katong adlok magpa-test, gumikan sa stigma. Adlok magpa-test gumikan sa stigma, or katong mga tao na wala sila kabalo that they are infected because asymptomatic sila or whatever is the case. Ngayon nga na ba?
So, murag makakaanang iputanong kay murag daghan na ang tao nga aware og somehow dili na sila mahadlok og magpa-test kung kuan ba sila positive or dili. So, karon since we're talking about HIV/AIDS, so usa ang kalahian sa HIV ug AIDS?
First siguro kailangan to sasabta na ang HIV kay isa siya sa mga STIs or nagnatawag nato sexually transmitted infections. So HIV is an infection. Yes po.
We're live, no?
Salamat. So yun. So the first, ang una siguro na kinalaw masabta when it comes to like HIV or is that and AIDS as well, is that we have to first understand unsa ni siya na klase na health condition. So generally ang tawag sa ila kay sexually transmitted diseases or STD. No, not STDs but sexually transmitted infections. So kani siya tanan forms of infection. So pwede kani siyang infection makuha through sexual contact or sexual na intercourse, or not necessarily intercourse but pwede po sexual contact, skin to skin, o kaning STIs pwede na siya makuha pamaagi sa like bacteria, sa virus o kanang mga parasite through the sexual contact. And then kaning mga STIs pwede siya mag-lead into STD or sexually transmitted diseases. So kaning infection not necessarily automatically na kaning infection is disease na ni siya or STD na ni siya. Kay most sa STIs kay curable. while most sa STDs are difficult to cure and more often long-term or lifetime din siya nga medication ang panginahanglan. So the difference is ang HIV is an STI that is caused by the virus.
Okay.
And AIDS is actually murag mas heavier siya na consequence or pwede mag-lead ang HIV towards AIDS or acquired human immunodeficiency syndrome. So there are multiple diseases po na pwede na mag-lead ang HIV towards it or sa AIDS. Tawagan ng AIDS-related na mga cases. So pwede maabot mo result ni siya sa kanang AIDS-related pneumonia, AIDS-related na mga disease. Depende sa complication. Kaya ginatake niya kay ang imong immune system. So from infection and then pag ulala siya, mahimo siyang disease. So from HIV, pag ulala siya, mahimo siyang AIDS. Or pwede siya mahimong AIDS. But siguro, ang misconception is that yung sila na pag na-AIDS, automatic ka mura siya death penalty. Na murag bayot, pag positive ka, automatically ka, wala kay chance mabuhay sa kalibutan. That's the preconception before. Pero karon with the development of technology, while it's not curable, 100%, but it's manageable. There are medications that could extend your life, medications na himuon na ang virus or ang load sa virus o ang viral load, kay maabot siya sa level na undetectable na siya, which is among atong goal na maabot siya undetectable. At the moment na undetectable na siya, it also entails ang tawagan ni U is equal to U na pag undetectable is equals to untransmittable. So, ibig sabihin, buti pa sabot, pag undetectable na sa imuha ang virus, then it means na there's a large possibility that it cannot be transmitted anymore. So, kana ang dapat na i-reach if we want to target na ma-prevent ang pag-spread po sa HIV. So, ano siya, Bax?
So, na-differentiate na kung sa HIV, ang kalayan sa HIV o AIDS. So,
Oo.
the second question, Bax, kay how HIV is transmitted?
So, mauto ako ngayon, ang HIV as an infection, it can be transmitted in specific ways. So, dahil mga misconceptions pa na. So, one way is direct sexual contact. So, kana siya, makipag-intercourse jud ka. So, or nakipag-intercourse ka. Second is through blood transfusion or kanang
Makapag-tattoo,
kana
piercing.
like for example, kanang pag-transfer sa blood or pwede pod na kanang through birth.
Okay. Ang mama.
So like for example, ang mama mo, positive, pwede to siya ma-carry over sa bata. O pwede po na kanang non-sexual ni siya na contact. So there are two ways. One is the sexual, mautong katong sexual intercourse. The non-sexual ay katong blood transfusion, which consequently pwede po kanang sharing ng needles. Like for example, kanang mga unsanitized na mga needles na ginaturok, sa tattooing, sa kanang uban pa na paggamit sa drugs na ina-inject. So pag dili na siya sanitized o dili na siya sensitized ka na ng mga needles, pwede na ma-transfer ang virus. Second is katong second sa non-sexual, kaya mauputong katong by birth. Or actually, pwede po like breastfeeding. So that is also one way. Other misconception about that is that kanang what if napaakan ka sa
Lamok.
ang lamok?
Oo.
Nakapaak ang lamok sa HIV
Imuha.
positive. Tapos ang lamok na nakapaak, nipaak po duguban. Ang kung mga dira, kaya misconception, kaya pagtunin na ang lamok nag-carry sa katong HIV na infection, tapos pag siya uban, pa-infect siya. Actually, misconception na siya, kaya ang HIV, dili siya makuha through insect infection. Kaya ang mga dira, wala man na-positive ang lamok sa HIV. Kay human immunodeficiency virus na siya. So it's a human virus or infection. So wala na positive ang lamok. Ikaduha, siguro kung ma-positive ka, in alternate world na na-positive ang lamok, ma-positive lang siguro ako nakipagtalik mo ka sa lamok.
Saan lugar, no?
Oo, ingana siya. So dili siya ingana na case na murag na ang medium is hayop, tapos ang hayop na transfer sa tao. Okay? Naputol man siya kay medium dili sa tao.
Di ba namoy murag meat nga like katong murag mga waste one din ilabay sa dagat. Dayan katong nga murag certain nga katong virus for example makaon siya sa isda nga naay katong AIDS daw ang isda ding makaon nimo so dili ka matakdan ato. di ba, chika na, makabasat nga, ayaw mo kaon ani kay na AIDS, na panglabay ng mga toxic na mga turba sa dagat.
I mean, just like sa akong ingon, dili ka ma-infect. It's because kay ang courier na sa katong, let's say, na-carry ng ang virus sa isda, wala man infect ang isda. It's because it's a human virus. So, ma-infect lang ang human. Kay, I mean, it attacks sa T-cell ng human. So, unless kung ang isda na po yung ana. Pero kung ang atong ginamit na isda, ang imong ex, pwede dyan ka ma-infect.
Kanaon sa TikTok na mo, ano lang ka, mo lang kang kuan.
Ang lang imo de isda na ginamit ko, ang imong ex, then positive siya. Possible na ma-infected ka. Especially kung high risk ang imong interaction. Kaya unsafe ang inyong ginabuhat, anak.
So, technically, kung mag-kiss mo o mag-share mo utensils, dili ma-transmit ang HIV. Kay, matod sa imong giingon, paano siya kanang makuha siya kung blood transfusion or kanang kuan sexual intercourse. So, di po siya makuha sa lamo, kay human to human man siya dapat, di ba?
Correct.
So, kuan ba siya kanang ma-cure ba ang HIV?
Ang HIV, siguro ang technicality, dili siya curable. But it's manageable. So natin ginatawag na ART. It's a therapy.
So tawag ito?
ART, ang abbreviation niya. I'm not sure it's kalimut ko sa yung meaning, but i-search na lang ninyo kung saan.
Ibutan na lang.
Ibutan na sa title sa nasa iyang description. But ang kuana na, it's a therapy. It's ART ang iyang abbreviation. Ang buti pasabot ng ana is that it's a long-term medication. Ang ginabuhatan na niya ay o lifetime medication. Ginabuhat niya is gina-reduce niya ang viral load sa virus. And ang ginabuhat is sa pag-reduce sa viral load, ang goal sama sa gingon is maabot sa undetectable level.
Or di na siya non-reactive na siya.
Mahimo siyang non-reactive later on. Kaya ang goal dyan sa ART is to reach a point na maabot ka sa U is equals to U. That is, undetectable na ang viral load. Therefore, dili na siya transmittable sa uban. Pero so it's still a lifelong process na. So it extends the life and the life expectancy po ng mga positive. But it also is a way preventing the spread of HIV. It's because pag ma-reduce na ang viral load, undetectable na siya, di siya ma-transmit, then lesser na ang possibility or mas lesser na ang risk of transmitting the virus to other people. So yan na. Well, dili po ka ng bayot kay nag-share mo tinidor kay automatically positive ka. Kaya sa madi asa dagi ka ng tinidor.
Di man gura ni siya murag hepa nga murag ting ana bitaw nga murag.
Misconception lang man na siya. I think it's one of the stigma jud ting ana. Kay uban nga di namuhag kay yudahan nga positive na siyang kuan. Murag grabe na pod. Not unless kung other types of STIs like kanang STIs na caused by bacteria. Like for instance for example, let's say one of the STIs is herpes or chlamydia, and then if let's say herpes or chlamydia, and then or gonorrhea, what happens is that kung katong bacteria is na transmit to other objects tapos na-dissolve sa mong lawas, pwede ka ma-infect pero not on the same degree.
So kaning yun no, is only HIV is a gay disease?
I mean, it has nothing to do with gender. Kaya dili siya gender disease. Sama sa ubang sakit, dili siya gender disease. It's a matter of, it's a health challenge, it's a health condition. O it's not just LGBT, it's not LGBT people na nag-cause nga na. And the real cause of HIV and any other STI is the unsafe sex dun siya or unclean na pag-conduct sa intercourse. So, nga na siya. I mean, dili man limited to specific gender group ang kanang pagbuhat sa unsafe na sex. So, it doesn't matter whether you are lesbian, whether you are gay, whether you are hetero or straight ka. If you are exposed to kanang multiple sex partners and your conduct ng sex is unsafe, then there's high risk na ma-infect ka ng virus. It's because unsafe ka, then there's a higher tendency na expose yung body towards these infections, the viruses and the bacteria. So it has nothing to do with gender. It has something to do with the conduct of sex, and it has something to do with the culture of sex as well. Like, dili lang man pod limited ang culture sa casual sex karon or polyamorous na sexual intercourse, like kanang joke na kanang apil ka sa food web tapos sausawan na mura bisag kinsa na lang imong kuan tapos wala kay pakialam kay di ka naga-condom, wala kay gamit ng mga safe sex practices, then more likely ma-infect ka regardless kung unsa ba ka dira. it has not, I mean, dili man siya gendered jud na issue. Ug mao po na ang isang reason mo taas ang stigma against LGBT people because we attribute kani nga disease towards LGBT people, which is a wrong thing or one of the parang misconception and wrong na stereotype or one of the stereotypes against the LGBT people.
So medyo kwan siya no, nang makasad, at the same time, murag disheartening siya kay pag once mayon ka og HIV AIDS, murag nakaangkla na gyud nga ang LGBT din. Pag once nga LGBT ka, kamo na dayon ang career ana.
Correct. I mean, bayot dili ta buti pasabot pag parang HIV is equals to LGBT.
Oo, murag nanay
isa day positive pud ta. Ingana, kita lang di ay na yung mga sex, di ba? And siguro highlight ko daw na we must safeguard ang mga LGBT. It's because we're the most aware population siguro or group of people when it comes to that. Ang naga-lead sa mga HIV awareness na mga programs and activities on the ground kay mga LGBT people because they're more aware and open towards discussing kana nga issue. So, in terms of the steps as well, frontliner mga LGBT people when it comes to taking like PrEP, for example, kanang pre-exposure or post-exposure na mga medication, we're the ones, or most of the LGBT groups are the ones taking the first step towards it. So, kanang stigma na nga ng LGBT is equals to HIV, kaya din siya sa tinuod.
So klaro na to siya ha. So what are the some common ways to protect yourself from HIV?
I mean, the traditional one is to say na murag abstinence jud kana hindi ka makapag-sex. But of course, human as we are, it's part of our human needs.
Or innate na.
Oo, innate na siya. So may mo naman dinanap na si patanggal mo na yung hormones. Tanggal mo lang imong pandera.
Unsa ka nang iro din ng pakapon.
Oh, murag bayot dili man ka bato. So one is abstinence, but siguro given the reality that sex is a human need that people do intercourse, of course we're not talking about kana the moral religious aspect, but the reality, social reality na nakipag-intercourse yung mga tao. Second is, if you wanna like do sex, make it safe. So mo nang natay safe practices when it comes to safe sex practices. So sama sa paggamit sa condom, and more importantly, this is also important, is be loyal to your partner. Kay more
Loyal ba ka?
depende.
Dili ko ako tara day. Napa kay partner.
Abas. Hawak ko baby. Hindi, man loyal sa mga partners because ang cause mo gudana is, for example, it's an infection. If duha lang sa imong partner, your body is only introduced to the bacteria in sa imong partner. But if you are not honest to your partner, ang likelihood is that mag-accumulate yung bacteria from other body and then ma-expose sa imong partner. Ang pangutana na ang immune system sa imong partner might not be able to handle the bacteria na alien sa iyong lawas, which is one of the cause of infection. So nga na siya, it's a matter of like loyalty as well, but most importantly, it's a matter of like preventive na mga practices. So safe sex jud na siya. But most ikanipot siya, I think na need siya i-normalize na culture that if you are more active jud kayo kadayon na murag
Murag imong ko ang libido is taas ka.
Oo, na murag nakaikota ka na bulan ko, murag every other 3 days ka nag-ana ka. So we have to make sure na it's coupled with safe practices. So preventive practices. So dapat constant ka nagpa-check, and then kung high risk sa exposure, then it's better that you take PrEP than ang pre-exposure na medication so that ma-lessen ang tendency po na ma-infect ka. So nga na. So these are the some practices, and I think reason why these practices are often undermined, it's because of the stigma. Like in order for you to constantly know kung na-infect ka or wala ka, active ka, you have to check yourself. And more ang challenge nila kay number one, less ang clinics na nag-offer HIV test. But if mag-access ka ng kaning clinics or mag-access ka ng kanang self-testing kit, ang may tabo mo dire, if there is a social stigma that runs with it na parang, oy, nagkuha siya kit, positive na siya.
Tama.
Or tapos people na misconception tayo na murag palayo sa imuha, i-judge na dayon ka, kay murag immoral ka sa imong action. These are things na that would only exacerbate kani siya nga crisis or kani siya nga nagkanang increase sa HIV. So yung ana siya. So it's a matter of like, discipline as well, and parang understanding and accepting that this is the reality that we're living right now, and we have to approach it realistically and practically po. Without denying that it doesn't exist, without unsa ka nang judging na murag, wait, sala na mauna kanang kuan, you condemn people. So what happens is that you don't help them na to overcome kana ng mga challenges. And I think more importantly, we have to look at it as parang as a health matter as opposed to kanang people na murag kanang i-judge dayon ka nga na kay. That's one of the factors, social factors na nag-push na people kay afraid na magpa-test. It's because they're afraid to be judged sa request sa pamilya. And pag di na sila makapatest, they won't be able to confirm that na mapapositive sila or infected sila. But more importantly, kung wala tayong we don't know since ang positive. So, people engage still in sex, tapos wasala kabalo kung positive sila. So, there's a high risk na mas spread siya. Ikaduha, kung wala sila na kabalo kung positive sila, they won't access and have the will to access ka ng mga proper medication. So, prevention comes with one, knowing and accepting. So you have to know, parang if you're active, you have to know how to like be practical, responsible sa imong kaugalingon in terms of your health. Second, be responsible to other people. And thirdly, be responsible as well in terms of making sure that your condition and the situation of people do not become reasons for other people to be exposed and be at risk as well. Yan.
So marang tinagin siya oh my God!
Prevention
Is better than cure.
Yes.
No? Then ang isa sa mga practices good is kanang be loyal to your partner. Ug always do safe sex, like nagamit ang condom. Like
Correct.
nana may mga mga health centers na to nga murag free og panghatag og condom. So why not ipang utilize ug maximize nato na?
Kana. I mean, wala mo kani po naman ang katawanan kaya di ba natoy kuan I think initiative ata na free na ang condom sa mga barangay health centers. Wala may muadto.
Oo.
Kaya I mean pag muadto sila dito kanang mga mag-asawa kay hadlok pod or stigma towards it or katawan sila. Kaya mura dili pa part sa ilang culture or sa ilang understanding na need mo na siya. I mean wala discreet ba bang aminan na murag most of the time this ang mapalit kag condom sa 7-Eleven discreet kayo ka. Di ba? Ingana na murag magduluha ka hatag sa counter hulatan nimo
Or dili ipasabay na lang nimo sa imong friend. Ipagi og joke ka ti kinahanglan nimo ti pero hindi ka
Diba?
gamit ato.
Tapos ikaw din na ngayon tapos ba? So I think it's kana po siguro siya making sure na wala na yung stereotype na or stigma associated sa ganyan ng mga product because isa na sa mga barrier para ma-overcome or at the very least ma-address din siya na social condition or social issue.
So lastly, what can you do to help end HIV stigma?
First is siguro kay one is it's a matter of it's a stigma, so there is prejudice towards it. There's a stereotype, and this stereotype can originate siya sa kanang wrong information or mali nga information. So the first step is, of course, we have to make sure na increase ang atong effort when it comes to putting the right information there sa discussion. So may it be social media, sa atong mga friends na mali ang pagtuo or na stereotype na ginakawiran. So slowly we can talk about it and correct those misconceptions so that we parang break down ang foundation ng kanang stigma. But more importantly siguro po kay let's make sure that we create safe space for people who are infected or people who are positive and for people who are in that struggle. It's because it's a difficult struggle and more often than not parang na-isolate sila. So it's a matter of create a safe space for them. So if you have a family member or friends na nag-come out sa imo hat, na infected siya, you don't have na parang to show na murag nandili ka, mag-isolate, murag mupalaya ka sa iya ha, pwede na siya part sa family because that only exacerbates the situation. Luoy pod ka tong tao. And at the end of the day, that person is still a human person. Friend gapon nimo siya, pamilya gapon nimo siya. So we have to create that safe space. So we have to be open, and we can only be open if we're informed, and we have to show that bisag unsa yung situation, wala ang atong ability to give care to other people. So yung
So thank you kaayo Mark Benson for that very informative informations, no? And then once again, this is Mark Benson Lucha and Happy Pride!